Hi guys, so in this video I'm going to be talking about the first job that I did in my first year of university. So the first job that I did was something called an RA, or in other words, a resident assistant. So the first question is, what is a resident assistant? So some of the roles of a resident assistant are planning community programs, leading weekly community meetings, working on community support shifts, administering first aid, assisting in the hiring of other student staff, submitting monthly reports to the supervisor, attending team meetings, and performing checkpoint shifts to support resident safety. So the next question is, how did I apply? So for RA positions, the students that are hired are usually from the second year and onwards, so upper year students and not first year students, because let's say you're beginning your semester in this year is 2025, so let's say you're beginning your semester in fall of 2025. So the application for this position opens in December 2024 and lasts till January of 2025. The interviews take place in around February and the results are out around mid-March. So by that time everything will be done. So by the time you enter university in 2025, all the positions would have been filled. So there's no way a first year student will be able to do it. So the next question is, how was I able to do it as a first year student? Because initially when I went, I had no idea what a resident assistant was, and I hadn't even applied earlier because I didn't know there was such a position. But when I went there, I realized there's something called U Alberta Careers. So there's this website for job postings offered at the University of Alberta, both part-time and full-time. So what I did was I told my mom there is this website called U Alberta Careers where they post job postings for part-time and full-time students. And my mom started going through the job listings and eventually found one that I was eligible for, and eventually I applied and later I got in. So firstly, thank you so much, mom. It's because of her I was able to get this job in the very first place, so big thanks to her. Now here's the main question that you might be wondering. You might be wondering, if I said that the positions are filled around the period of March and February, how did I get this position in September or late September? Because I applied in like mid-September, got my interview in like the third week of September, and finally got my offer letter at the end of September. So how was I able to do it? So basically I was very lucky with this, because the very reason there were positions opened at that time was because apparently there are students as usual who got accepted for all these RA roles. The positions were all over, but then like in the mid of July or August, I think before the position starts, some of them have apparently left. So that opened a few spots. So me and a few other individuals were able to fill in those spots, and eventually, yeah, we were first year resident assistants. So along with the job offer, I had to sign a few confidentiality forms and a few other tax forms. So what came along with the job offer was mandatory RA training modules. Now because the training modules were supposed to be happening in early August, but obviously I have missed them because I applied in around September when I first came into university, right? So this RA training period was supposed to be held for people who got accepted early, but because I got accepted in late September, I had to complete mandatory RA training modules in mid-October. So along with that, I also had to complete a few certifications before proceeding with my contract, and some of those were ability to have a supportive conversation, suicide prevention, CPR first aid, workplace hazard assessments, and workplace violence and harassment prevention. Now I'm going to be talking about one of the major RA roles which I mentioned previously, and that is community support shifts. Now this is where most of the RAs accumulate most of their hours. So what community support shift is, for every single day throughout the academic year, two resident assistants, they tour the entirety of Lister Center, ensuring student well-being, student safety, making sure safety protocols within the residence buildings are met, such as, for example, ensuring the fire extinguisher works properly, it's all clipped properly, and then we go around knocking on washroom doors and ensuring if people inside are safe and sound, and some other few safety measures and protocols to ensure resident safety. So on weekdays the shifts run from 8 p.m. to 11:45 p.m. and on weekends there are two shifts. which run one from 8 p.m. to 11:30 p.m. and one from 11:30 p.m. to 3 a.m. So this can go as early in the morning. So because it's a weekend, you gotta make sure, because people usually stay up late in the night during weekends. So we gotta make sure we have our shifts until that period of time. So on weekends, we have an additional RA role which is called checkpoint. In checkpoint, what we do is there are two RAs which set up a table in front of the Lister Center, so before the main doors, and they scan everyone's IDs of people who come after 8 p.m. to ensure that everyone who's coming past the door after 8 p.m. is a verified student living on campus, because that is again done to ensure the safety of residents. Moreover, there is this option where we have a Google chat for all the resident assistants, and if someone is not available to work on a particular day that they're assigned for, any RA who is free at the time, who is available at the time, can pick up that shift. So there is that ability to pick up and drop shifts. So in weekly team meetings, what happens is every RA from one particular building. So I was in this building, in this Lister building called the Thelma Shalifu Hall, and in that building I think were around 10 or 12 RAs, I don't remember exactly, but we have these weekly team meetings, and in every week's team meeting, one RA is appointed something called the RA of the week. So it is more like a tribute or an honor given to a resident assistant for portraying excellence in the work that they do. So one of the roles of the resident assistant is having community building programs. And what community building programs are, resident assistants can organize any event, like a hangout event with their flow members. So once all of the members of our flow went out to a restaurant, and then we had a good time. And then there was this one other event where I organized a bowling event for my floor mates, and there was this another event where with me and a few other RAs, we coordinated and we organized a barbecue event at a nearby park at the university. So all of this is funded by a small allowance that is provided to us by our supervisor along with our resident assistant role. So we use this fund to organize any student events for the community. So at the end of the year, we had one final team meeting, and in that team meeting we exchanged each other certificates. So every RA on my residence building, they hand each other qualities that they think is suitable to that particular resident assistant in the form of certificates. So for example, someone gave me a certificate of appreciation, as you can see here, for the most adaptable resident assistant. I came in the middle of things, so instead of starting in early August, I came in like the middle of October. So that's the reason I got the most adaptable resident assistant, because I was able to adapt to the team and the role just in a short period of time. So because I came in the middle of things, my contract only ran between around the first week of October to around the end of April, so around for like 6.5 to 7 months, whereas the actual contract lasts for around 8 months. And in this period, I was able to work a total of 166 hours and earn a total of $2,500. So the benefit that I got for being a resident assistant was I got a double room, and the double room is for two people that share one room. So initially I used to live in a single room and went to a double room. So this one room, the benefit was this one room, the whole room was for me. So I had double the amount of furniture, double the amount of beds, and overall larger room, and that was the benefit. And I also got this at a discounted rate. Hi guys, so I'll be moving out of this room. I'm gonna say bye bye to it. So shifting to my new room now. I take my bags. Let's go. Alright guys, as you can see, it's all empty. Nothing left behind. And yeah, I have shifted everything. Here in my new room now. As you can see, it's a lot more spacious. I'll get the rest of the stuff and I'll see you again. So overall, I would say that doing this was a great experience of my life. It's a great first opportunity because as it was my first job, I learned a lot of valuable skills, a lot of transferable skills. Like for example, I learned this skill of first aid, being able to do first aid, which I think is a really good, valuable asset that everyone should have. Being able to handle conflict, and being also able to manage my time. So these all are valuable skills that I think are useful. So if you ever have the opportunity of becoming a resident assistant, I would 100% recommend you to go for it. And yeah, this was my experience of me being a resident assistant, and I'll see you in my next video. Take care.